The UN has called for a halt to the fighting in Myanmar to allow for the distribution of much-needed aid after last week's devastating earthquake there. More than 3,300 people have been confirmed dead so far, with hundreds still missing. Myanmar's military and several key armed resistance groups have all declared ceasefires in the wake of the disaster, but reports are indicating that the junta has continued its attacks.
A city in ruins and people with nowhere to go. Sagaing was one of the cities worst affected by the earthquake.
There is no water in Sagaing. The hospitals are absolutely overwhelmed. People are outside in 40-degree heat because the building itself is unsafe. There's a lack of medicines, lack of health workers, and the markets are completely closed down. So the needs are nothing short of absolutely immense.
In Myanmar's second-largest city, Mandalay, near the epicenter of the earthquake, thousands are sheltering in tents. And the lack of clean water is a danger to health.
We're concerned that diseases like cholera could break out in the community. The big issue is to manage trash properly, as people are staying on the street and throwing away a lot of waste. That's the concern for people in the city.
As well as the damage to vital infrastructure, the United Nations says Myanmar's military is still attacking rebel forces fighting the 4-year civil war, hampering the disaster relief operation.
Our office has received reports that the military has carried out at least 53 attacks, including strikes by aircrafts and drones, artillery and paramotors in areas affected by the earthquake. At least 14 attacks by the military have been reported since they announced a temporary ceasefire, which was due to take effect on the 2nd of April.
The US has been criticized for failing to join the relief operation, but the administration now says it will provide another $7 million in aid.
Elena Vuolo is deputy head of the World Health Organization's Myanmar office and joins us now. So many hospitals have been destroyed or damaged in the quake. Are the thousands of injured receiving adequate care?
Good evening, that's all. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to share the reality that we are observing here in Myanmar. Yes, indeed, we are talking of almost 86% of hospitals and other types of health facilities that are partially functional or not functional at all. We have right now a week since the earthquake has been hitting this country. We have spent already a week to provide immediate relief. As a World Health Organization, we brought here almost 100 tons of relief supplies, particularly for trauma care, for surgical care, and we are bringing more medicines because there are not only injured people, but there are also people who need to continue receiving humanitarian assistance and health care for other type of diseases. Now, several hospitals, as I mentioned, are not working. Some hospitals have been totally destroyed by this earthquake. So we are living in a reality where under 39, 40 degrees, we have temporary hospitals. And we have several people who also have challenges to reach those hospitals. As we speak tonight, I would like to share the experience of what I've witnessed this afternoon here in Naypyitaw. I am based in Naypyitaw, which has been one of the locations affected by this earthquake. Today, I had the opportunity of visiting one of the emergency medical teams, what we call EMTs. It's specifically the EMT that was established here by the government of the Philippines in response to the appeal of the government here for international support. And this is a typical example on how you have to deal with an earthquake in a crisis, in a protracted emergency like Myanmar, where people are already suffering because of increased level of poverty, because of a fragile health system, and not only a fragile health system. This country has been in a protracted emergency for more than 4 years by now. What I observed today is the importance of having these emergency medical teams coming to the country in a very timely modality, bringing supplies, medical supplies, delivering healthcare that people otherwise will not be able to access because of distance, because of poverty, because of the fact that the roads have been completely or partially destroyed by this earthquake. If you're asking me if people are receiving the care that they need, people are receiving the immediate care, the immediate relief. However, a week has already passed since we had this earthquake. Humanitarian aid is flowing inside Myanmar. We are bringing more supplies, but we are also to consider that we need to restore and reestablish the functionality of these health facilities, which will take time. So this is the reason why in the first 2-3 weeks after this earthquake, it's important to continue having international support. And international support and international aid doesn't mean only supplies. It means also bringing capacity and expertise like DMTs, for example.
That's actually the point we wanted to bring directly. What exactly does Myanmar need right now to deal with this humanitarian crisis that has been caused by this massive earthquake? Is it just funds? Do we need more people? What type of assistance can the international community provide?
It's both. It's both, I must say. Let's start from funds. We know that in the last 3 months of 2025, the international aid has gone through a game changer. There are several countries that are withdrawing from the multilateral organizations like WHO. There are other countries that have decided to invest more on military defense rather than international cooperation and humanitarian response. We know that, for example, here in Myanmar, Myanmar is one of the least funded protracted emergencies. We were already operating in a suboptimal way. We were already operating with very limited resources, with a population which is in need of humanitarian assistance. In Myanmar, almost 20 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance, out of which almost 13 million people, even before this crisis, this natural disaster happened last week, were in need of essential health care. In this situation where the needs are growing and getting worse and worse in terms of criticality, we are working with very limited resources. We ourselves as WHO, we have actually been using our own emergency fund, what we call Central Fund for Emergencies, CFE, in order to be able to deploy and to bring here into Myanmar the first 100 tons of relief supplies. So funding is indeed one of the major issues and challenges that we are collectively facing here in Myanmar. And it's a critical challenge because we are dealing with a population that is also facing increasing levels of poverty. Buying medicines here in Myanmar, it's extremely expensive. On the other side, it's also expertise.
Yeah, okay. I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time right now. Elena, thank you very much for joining us. That was Elena Vuolo from the World Health Organization. Thank you for taking time to speak with us today.
Thank you. Good night.